right, it's time now for questions from the audience. If you have a question and you're not sure who you want to direct it to, just put it a general question, and maybe any of the candidates that is really excited to answer that question can just indicate with their hand for me, okay? But I'm going to try to keep track to make sure it's a fairly even split. Well, I don't see any. Oh, there is one person. I'll start over here since that's the mic everybody's at.
Thank you.
Please identify yourself first.
Pardon me?
Please give us your name
just
first.
about to.
Okay.
I'm Andy Von Busey. I'm a humble taxpayer. I've lived here since I've been 10 years old. I'm going to ask a general question. We all know of the things that need to be done in a city. In other words, firefighting, we want to fund, we need to fund that. We need to fund police. We need to fund infrastructure, especially roads and the clearing thereof. Those are the needs to haves. When you're considering budgets in the future, what wants to haves would you consider either disbanding totally or postponing? Thanks.
Anyone volunteering for that one? If not, we'll start at the beginning again. Wes Broadhead.
Well, a very interesting question. One of the things that I believe a strong strategic plan and an innovative and inspirational vision allows the city to have is the ability to make exactly those decisions. For example, the question last night around the artwork. Did it in fact drive the city towards the branding that we're pursuing, this Cultivate Life, this botanical city? Did it in fact drive us to that? If it didn't, then you don't fund it. If it did, then you consider it. And those are the sorts of things that a strategic plan and a vision that drives all of your focus allows you to do.
Thanks very much. We'll go to mic 1 or mic 2 again. Yes.
Hello, my name is Jared Milne. I am a resident from Deer Ridge, and this is just a general question. I would like to know whether any prospective councillors and candidates would consider internal service reforms within the city administration itself. We've heard quite a bit about the cost overruns in Riel Park, the deficits at Service Place, and now when I look at the list of where to vote on election day, I find it absolutely ridiculous. People have to go to Kingswood, Pinesdale, and Ainsdale, and Sturgeon and Forest Lawn all have to go to Service Place to cast their ballots. It's on the website. But my question, therefore, is what do you feel, or would you be willing to make changes within city administration to improve the actual quality of service being delivered?
We'll hear from Nolan Kraus and then from Aisling Pollard-Kensel.
Thank you, Mr. Milne, for your question. While it's hidden perhaps deep into, because my website is quite detailed, what I'm calling for if I'm re-elected is what I would call a complete efficiency review at City Hall with all of the departments. When I say City Hall, I'm talking about the entire corporation, and I think that we have to peel all the layers off the onion and get right down to what are the key efficiency changes that have to be made from the beginning to the end.
Aisling?
Thank you for your question. Basically, I would like to say that I would also, once elected, the first thing I would do is review the departments and each department individually and their staff. But it's not going to stop there. I'm going to be doing this every year and making sure that there's accountability in the administration.
Thank you. We'll go to the other microphone. First person.
Hello, my name is Randy Hughes. I live in St. Albert. My question is for Kathy Heron. You said in your speech that you believe the current RCMP policy of no call too small is an inefficient model. This struck me as odd because I recently read a book where there are crime studies that found that basically when residents and police respond to even the most minor crimes, the rate of even major crimes, it all goes down throughout the city. So this would seem in contrast to basically your idea of focusing on only the major things. So I was wondering where you get the justification for your idea.
Thank you for your question. I wouldn't want to call the no call too small inefficient. I would call it a Cadillac service. It's very expensive to run, and currently our CMP require more staff to do that, and it's not in the budget to do. So given that fact, we need to reevaluate the model. and prioritize where we're making our calls. I believe in preventative policing, and I would like to see the money spent in those areas that our current RCMP doing, such as the DARE project, patrolling on bikes, Dodger the dog. Those are kind of preventative things that I think would combat crime in our city.
Would any of the other candidates like to address that? No? All right. We'll go back to mic number 2.
Thank you.
Sir.
My name is Dean Doucette. I'm a 30-year resident of St. Albert. I speak in behalf of less advantaged taxpayers and in behalf of all taxpayers who support the less advantaged. This is a hands-up kind of question, and a short one. Which of you candidates is prepared to subscribe to the following statement? I deplore whatever action the present council has taken, which may result in squeezing less advantaged residents out of St. Albert. Hands up, if you please.
Would you like to address that, Mr. McKay?
Well, that's obviously a very important issue for anyone in that situation, as well as anyone who pays any taxes in the city. You know, we really need a change of corporate culture within the city where we realize that money is not limitless. And Mr. Doucette's statement certainly exemplifies that. And we need to create a city in which anybody that wants to live here can. Thanks.
Thank you. We'll go back to mic number 1.
Hi, my name is Dave Evans. I live in Ainsdale. Ainsdale has been informed by council that the major infill slated for 70 Arlington is not unique to Ainsdale, and council believes the St. Albert's established communities are underutilized. My question to you is, do you believe that St. Albert's communities are underutilized? And if so, are you in favor of major infills in these communities? And lastly, are you in favor of the major infill currently proposed for 70 Arlington? I hope I would like to get all of you to answer, so in the interest of time, please just provide me with a yes or no answer. Thank you.
Okay, let's go with the yeses first.
Could I have the last question again, please?
The actual question itself, so
The last one.
that can be a tricky thing.
So you want the question again?
Yeah.
My question to you is, do you believe the St. Albert's communities are underutilized? And if so, are you in favor of major infills in these communities? And lastly, are you in favor of the major infill currently proposed for 70 Arlington?
Okay. The yes or no will be on the first part first. Is that beyond? Okay, so the first half of the question, or do they have to agree to both?
There's 4 questions there.
Okay. All right, well then let's do it this way, okay? Who wants to address those questions first, and we'll just hear from 3 or 4 of you. All right, Malcolm Parker?
I'll give it a try. First of all, I don't think the communities are necessarily underutilized. And secondly, when you ask about Arlington, my position on that is, and it's already been pointed out, we've had a process problem. We all recognize that. We could have avoided the kerfuffle we're in now if we had sat down earlier in the game with the residents of Ainsdale and found out what was their concerns and what the city's visions were. If it goes ahead, then I think what we have to recognize, whatever we put there has to blend in with the established neighborhood that we already have. Hopefully that gives you some kind of a response, Dave.
Mr. Huron?
Thank you. I can't really give you a yes or no answer. I have to talk for a bit here.
Give you 30 seconds. Yeah.
I believe that, you know, many of us come to this community because of the green spaces that we have. And I believe we should protect those green spaces. That's very important for many of us. Yes, the process was flawed, and I think it's up to you, the people who are impacted in the immediate area by any development, to decide what goes on in that development. In the case of 70 Arlington, as I said, it's not an affordable housing issue. It's an issue of green space that you feel will be taken away from you, or a development will be set up there that you don't want. My advice is to sit down with the city, sit down with the new council, and see what will be the best solution and who can help to achieve that end. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And again, you don't have to actually hold on to the microphone. It should be, as long as it's pointed at you, you'll be fine. Okay, sorry, we'll go to Mr. Harley then.
I'm against development at 70 Arlington Drive, and I believe that the green spaces should be kept green.
Thank you. Would any of the incumbents like to address this? This is a big topic.
Thanks,
Please.
Eileen.
James
Well, I've been on the public record for almost 3 council meetings now, making a commitment to 18 units. I will continue to stick to that because I believe that's the win-win for our city and the Ainsdale residents. And whether we like it or not, the Capital Region Board has dictated that all Edmonton area municipalities will densify. We can't change that. We have to accept that it's coming, and that's just the way it is.
All right, before we leave this, James Van Dam and then Shelley Bermansky.
Okay. As well, Dave Evans was talking about infill in St. Albert, and I think we leave the old St. Albert, and we continue to develop outside in the annexed lands. We don't want to make it too many more changes. Everyone that likes the old St. Albert, let's keep the old St. Albert and let's develop in the new areas. As well with 70 Arlington, I think it's unfair to the residents that they already are over their maximum number of dwellings for Arlington, and they really need to, we need to take a look and maybe look at a modified plan for Arlington and look at affordable housing in the new developed lands.
Shelley Bermansky?
I'm against the development in Arlington. I'm against the densification, and I think that there's a way of getting around. They say that there's numbers that you have to meet for the capital region in raising the people in the neighborhoods. If you take some of your annexed lands and class those as industrial rather than just all residential, that can bring your numbers down. And I think what's happening is we have all this land space and we don't have the people filling it, and then we're forcing it into areas of the city where it doesn't need to be and nobody wants it to be. We still want our green spaces, we still want our neighborhoods, and there can be small additions, small renovations, but densification no one has asked me for.
Aisling, and then we'll move on to the next question. But first, Aisling Pollard-Kensel.
The issue of creating, developing 70 Arlington Drive, I'm against the specific development. We can't ignore the fact that we do need affordable housing in St. Albert. Our senior residents who are on a fixed income are having it. It's really hard for them to keep living here. And as a youth, as a young adult person, again, I'd like to be able to afford to live here. I was at the last council meeting, and something that I did notice when we were speaking about this issue in Ainsdale was it seems that the residents were completely ignored. They were consulted, and then we didn't really respect what they said. And I would work to make sure that your vision is just basically what I would work for.
Before we go to the question, I did catch Mr. Jones's eye before, and he was indicating he wanted to answer.
Thank you very much. It's kind of interesting that in the last meeting on 70 Arlington Drive, the focus from the speakers was on density. If I remember correctly, there were 5 concerns that were brought forward by the residents of Ainsdale when we went through the process. One was setbacks from the present residential houses. That was in the last proposal, that was increased from 3 meters to 10 meters. I believe Council addressed that. Another concern was to do with basement suites. Those disappeared from the actual project. We listened to what was being said. The other part was the yard sizes when it was the 58 units. With the 24 units, the yard sizes will now be bigger. The fourth one was they requested to have park access through that site from Arlington Drive. That was part of the process of the proposed project on Monday night. All of those first 4 that I've just mentioned were addressed and they were changed. The only area that we don't agree on is on the density. So I believe if it's 4 out of 5 concerns that we've addressed and corrected, I think that's pretty good, and we were listening to the residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jones.